Good afternoon, race fans, and welcome here to the Northeast New Hampshire Motor Speedway as it plays host to race number 19 of the season for the fourth season of the NCAA Duracell Cup Series. We still got to determine, though, who are going to fill in spots 37 through 42 in today's starting lineup later on in the main event with non-charter qualifying. On pole for this one is going to be Chris Dollerton, the former champion from Season 1. And Dollerton's got himself good starting track position here today, which could be very important in terms of the championship playoff drivers later on this season. Because last week at Chicago Motor Speedway, Chris Dollerton made his way into his 8th start of the season. Next week at the Chili Bowl, every driver in the field, non-charter and charter alike, will be making a start in that one. And if Chris Dollerton can pick up start number 9 here today, that win he had back at the second race of the season at Manassas automatically would lock him into one of the 16 playoff spots. So a lot riding on today here for Chris Dollerton. I believe this is the furthest up he's started in a non-charter event. He'll be alongside of the Pennzoil Ford of N Amoedo. Natan is trying to make his, I believe, 5th start of the season. Yes, indeed. And he will be making up row 1, making it an all-Ford front row. Dylan Poteet's going to line up in 3rd. Poteet looking for start number 4 on the season. Alongside him is going to be Quentin Moore. Quentin is looking to make his 3rd start in the year. And then Rob Evans, who a few weeks ago at the Indy Grand Prix road course ended up picking up a non-charter win. He's going to roll off from 5th. Rob Evans looking to make start number 3 on the season as well. Enough talk. Let's go down trackside. Get those most famous words in motorsports. Later on today, you'll see the chartered drivers in the main event take to the track for 53 laps of racing. Here today, 31 laps of racing will determine the 6 drivers that will transfer into the main event. More than likely, since this track is just a tick over a mile in length, pit road will not play a factor into who's going to be the transfer drivers and who isn't. I think they can make it at least 31 laps on what they've got in the fuel tank. Check down the description below for the full starting lineup for today's event. And one thing we're going to see here today, see that kind of a hump there coming off of turn 2, kind of a downward grade onto this back straightaway. You are going to see these cars bouncing here today. Watch these guys in practice, and my goodness, it was as if these guys were out there on one of the bumpiest roads in history. Especially here through 3 and 4. Watch the suspension, the rear end suspension when they go through these corners, loading up the front with the brakes and the rear end getting light. It's going to be a lot of fun. These drivers are going to be battling each other and the track conditions here today at New Hampshire Motor Speedway as the green flag is in the air, and let's roll. How about 3 wide, turn 1, lap 1. Almost 4 wide. Dylan Poteet, I don't know if he got loose or if he got some help from behind by Rob Evans, but he got really squirrely there through the center of 1 and 2. Dollerton is going to take the race lead. Poteet stuck on that inside line. Well, I wouldn't necessarily say stuck, but certainly losing momentum. He's actually down with his left sides on the apron. Coming off of turn 4. Another car down the apron back there. That was S Ozkan, the 70. Justin Dearborn nearly loses it back there. What a save as he fishtails it across the start-finish line. And the battle for the lead is still side by side between the front row drivers. Dollerton on the bottom. N Amoedo on the top. Quentin Moore waiting to see which line's going to open up. It's like J Schwallenberg has been able to slot himself into the 6th position, the final transfer spot. Look at there. As you see the back end of the car is bouncing the suspension there. Dollerton drove it deep, still trying to see if he can lead a lap here. He led the last lap, actually. I thought Natan had been able to hold him off on the top side, and Natan, half a car length, almost a full car length, almost clearing to turn 1, not quite. Dollerton battles back again. Behind them, Dylan Poteet, who was down the apron in 3 and 4 on the first lap. He is going to try and take 4th away from Harrison Ponder. Nothing doing. Dollerton tucks into the 2nd position now, and Ponder's going to go to the inside of Quentin Moore looking for 3rd. If what I expect is going to happen here in this non-charter race with what New Hampshire's been known for in the past couple of seasons, and I nearly jinxed it, with long green flag runs, these drivers are going to want to make their moves as quickly as possible. There was contact between Pedro Lucas and Joshua Osborne. Osborne, who finished top 15 last week in what was his 4th start of the season. Finished 13th, if I recall correctly. He and Pedro Lucas got together off of turn 4. Osborne with the right side damage, you could see there, as he'll come across this side of the screen. And Pedro Lucas losing some ground there in the 41 as well, as Michael Roode and Michael Wayne Robinson were able to get around him. Further up, things have gotten themselves rather strung out single file, and here's the battle for the transfer spot. A couple of Toyota Camrys. Dylan Schwallenberg has it. J Taurus wants it. And these drivers will not be afraid to use the bumpers here today, I guarantee you of that. Seth Cole behind there in the 25 machine. Rob Evans, a couple of drivers right there, the 25 and the 65, that are former winners of non-charter events this season. Evans at the Indy Road Course, and Seth Cole last week at Chicago Motor Speedway. So right now, I think these 6, they're all saying, hey, let's just ride. Let's just make sure we transfer in, especially for Chris Dollerton, because if Dollerton, as I said, transfers in today, it's absolutely confirmed that Chris Dollerton will be in the playoffs as a non-chartered driver. And yes, he had some help along the way in terms of being able to make 10 starts this season, race his way into 10 events, with having those 5 championship provisionals at the beginning of the season. But let's not forget, too, that he ended up going from the back to the front to win at Manassas. So it's not as if that playoff spot was absolutely handed to him. No way whatsoever. And he's trying to see if he can get what I think would be his first non-charter race win. I don't think he's ever done that yet. N Amoedo has never done it either. And N right now leading the way, hoping that these laps tick away quickly, as good battle back here outside of the transfer spot. This would be for 8th place. Seth Cole, Rob Evans, and Arthur Xavier. Arthur Xavier looking to make his 6th start of the season. Last time we saw him in a chartered race was back at the Monster Mile of Dover. And that was about 3 weeks ago. Evans trying around the outside to take the spot away from Seth Cole. And I think that might be the passing lane, not only here in the non-charter race, but later on in the charter event as well. I think that outside line is going to have the most momentum. Down that inside line, it is considered the shorter way around the racetrack, but it's also the lane which is most difficult to get back to the throttle in the center of the corner and get that run off. So Rob Evans now moving into the 8th position, setting his sights up here to see if he can get up into this transfer spot battle, which right now still held by Dylan Schwallenberg. He's stuck right now behind D Poteet, and then has J Taurus breathing down his neck. Actually, they're really stacked up from 3rd place on back. That's why D Poteet's going to step out of line now. Try and see if he can get to the inside of Harrison Ponder. That might have been a costly mistake on the part of the 31. Unless he can keep Dylan Schwallenberg behind him, which looks like he might be able to do. Schwallenberg, in turn, went up to the top side, thinking he could get around D Poteet. He left the door open for J Taurus, and now Chris Dollerton takes a peek to the inside of N Amoedo for the race lead. Well, we got to the throttle there through the center of the corner. Nicely done on that inside line, but not quite able to get the power down off the corner. I think that Natan's got him cleared again, and he does. Whoa, Dollerton! If you can't pass him, move him. I think he got into the left rear quarter panel of the 36. Opened the door up again for himself. We'll see if he can capitalize. Nope, again. Despite getting shoved up there about a groove and a half higher than he wanted to, Amoedo's going to be able to hold off Dollerton for the time being. Further back, battle for 5th. Dylan Schwallenberg looks to the inside of D Poteet. Not sure he's going to be able to complete that pass, and he's not going to be able to tuck in line either. Oh, you saw him turn the wheel hard to the right to try and tuck in behind the 31, but J Taurus was there, and now Rob Evans has caught up to this group also. And if these guys continue to race side by side, Seth Cole, Arthur Xavier, RJ Bishop, and T Gehrdes, they may all catch up and make it about a 6, 7, 8 car battle for that final transfer spot, as Schwallenberg still trying to hold off Taurus. He will succeed in doing so for the time being. Passing so difficult here at New Hampshire, especially when that right front tire starts to heat up and all your tires start to wear down, as Arthur Xavier and RJ Bishop going to duke it out for the final spot inside of the top 10. T Gehrdes Dodge there, as well as the Ford of L Chung. This is 10th through 13th right here that you're seeing in this shot. Tyler Gehrdes trying to ride the wave of momentum that Dodge currently has, with Nathan Orman picking up his first win of the season last week at Chicago Motor Speedway, locking himself a spot in the playoffs. Well, I say locking himself a spot. The monkey wrench in all of this is Chris Dollerton, right now still holding down that second position. And if he does make his way into the playoffs, like I said last week, touched on it quite a bit in both the non-charter and the charter race at Chicago Motor Speedway, that if Dollerton makes it in, that means that he's going to take a spot, potentially, from a charter driver that has a win this season. It's an absolute guarantee, an absolute lock for a non-charter driver that has a win, that has 10 starts during the regular season, that they are going to be in the playoffs. It is not necessarily a lock that a driver with a victory that is a chartered driver is going to make it into the playoffs. I mean, if you remember back to last year, we ended up having a number of drivers that did not make it into the playoffs, either because there wasn't enough room, there were more than 16 race winners inside of the top 20 in points, or that there were, or I'm sorry, the top 30 in points, I should say, or that there were some of our former winners from last season that weren't inside the top 30 in points to count towards a playoff position. Battle for the race lead has not gone away. Chris Dollerton, while he seems to be somewhat content in that second position, he continues to let N Amoedo know, you're not getting away from me. If you make a mistake, I am going to be there to capitalize. And Dollerton right now could just be sizing up that 36 machine. Second, or make that third through sixth, they've all got themselves in a little group. That is about a car length and a half back to Rob Evans, who's trying to get up here to Dylan Schwallenberg. Schwallenberg was on a streak at one point where I think he made 3 out of 4 races. And he has made a total of 4 starts this season. It's been a while since we've seen him in a main event race, and right now trying to hold down that final transfer position. Evans has closed the gap back up, though, in the 65. These drivers are running more than half of the distance that the charter drivers will be running later on in the main event race. And like I said, I'm like 99% certain that 31 laps at a mile track where they're so off the throttle. I mean, they're going down nearly to 96 miles per hour. Race leader N Amoedo is here in the corner. If for anything else, they would be coming to pit road for tires. I don't think they're going to have to come to pit road for fuel. And if you're anybody up here inside of the top 6, you're not coming to pit road at all if you're going to be able to make it on what you've got in the tank. Because you're not going to give up that track position. You're not going to give up an opportunity to start in the main event later on today. It's just not going to happen. If you are short on fuel, then yeah, then you'll come to pit road. But tires, no, you're going to run those things down until they're bare cords to make sure that you're going to be in the main event later on today. Just love watching these cars go through the corner, though, especially over there in 3 and 4. The bumps of the corners, as well as the fact that a lot of the suspension is built for the heavy braking zones of turns 1 and 3. And you just see the back end bouncing up and down, up and down. Not quite so much there in 1 and 2, but watch when they come over here to 3 and 4. Watch the back end of these guys. You see even there's a bit of a bump down the back straightaway. A couple of bumps, pretty heavy bumps. And then right here, watch coming here into the corner. Look how they're kind of floating, it looks like. Bouncing up and down and up and down. That's got to be such a challenge for a driver. That's why sometimes we end up seeing drivers have what's called wheel hop in the corners, as RJ Bishop peeks to the inside of Seth Cole. This would be to try and move the 12 up into the 9th position. Of course, who'll ever forget the weekend that RJ Bishop had back at Michigan, when he came up just short of winning the non-charter race, finished second there, and then followed up in the main event, finishing second place to his teammate Adam Garcia, which was Adam Garcia's first win of the season. RJ Bishop coming into this race, 4 starts, and if you look at him in the point standings right now, 43rd, there are drivers behind him in the point standings that have more starts than him, but have less points accumulated. It just shows that when RJ Bishop makes the races, he capitalizes on tremendous finishing results. I mean, there are drivers with 5, 6, and even 7 starts that are behind him in points. One of them, Seth Cole, there in the 25. Seth Cole's made 7 starts on the year. He's 54th in points, with RJ Bishop only 4 starts and 43rd in points. So it just shows that there are drivers that when they make it into the main event, they perform. last week when Joshua Osborne finished up inside the top 15, 13th. At Chicago, he jumped up 5 spots in the standings to 51st. That's even higher than where Seth Cole's at with 7 starts. So obviously that 25, he's obviously good in non-charter qualifying, but he's not good when he gets to the main event. Right now, as things stands, it looks like we're going to have 2 Fords, 3 Toyotas, and 1 Chevrolet that would transfer in. As soon as I say that, though, Dodge taking a peek. Rob Evans getting to the inside. Dylan Schwallenberg makes contact. Going into turn 1. Apparently Evans feels it's go time. Trying to get alongside of the 46. Oh, I think Schwallenberg was able to get back to the throttle sooner off of 2. Clears Evans again. So Evans still with about 7.5 laps to work with. As these laps ticking away rapidly now. It seems like when we get into the second half of the race just flies by. And N Amoedo now hitting the line. 7 laps to go here at New Hampshire. Dollerton runs about maybe a third of a groove, maybe a half groove higher there on the entry of turn 1. Maybe trying to get a run down the back straightaway with better corner exit speed. Quentin Moore, great performance for him, and Harrison Ponder. These are 2 drivers that qualified their way into the Daytona 500 earlier on this season. Mentioned Quentin Moore is looking to make his 3rd start of the season. Harrison Ponder, in that 79, he is looking to make his 3rd start of the season. As a matter of fact, out of all drivers this season, charter and non-charter alike, we've had a total of 63, but right now 62 that are full-time, and Harrison Ponder is the furthest down of those drivers. They're currently 62nd in points. Looking like very much so we may end up having both of the Otter Island Motorsport Toyotas in the field, and Evans going to try again for that 6th position. With now 5 laps to go. Josh Taurus hoping they race side by side. He's trying to catch up. Ooh, Evans got a nice corner that time. Oh, I think if he'd had just a little bit more, he might have still stayed alongside of Schwallenberg. Now Schwallenberg crosses down to the inside on Dylan Poteet. I don't think Evans was ready for that. I don't know if Schwallenberg was going for position or if he was going down there to throw a block. But that really stacked them up there. And that loss of momentum brings Josh Taurus now to the outside of Rob Evans for 7th place. Things starting to get really dicey around that transfer spot. As now RJ Bishop back there and Brad Stover, they'd love them to keep racing up here and maybe they could play a late factor. Schwallenberg now to the inside of Dylan Poteet. Let's see if Evans can pin him on the inside, jump up to the outside of the 46. If the 46 loses momentum off the corner, looks like he's doing that. Oh, Schwallenberg may have just cost himself a spot. Evans on the top side of Schwallenberg. Poteet not able to really get into the corner all that well. This is going to get really interesting with 2 laps to go. Look at Evans. Gets the run down the back straightaway. Edges ahead into 3. Schwallenberg drives it deep. Evans, oh, what happened to Evans? He had to majorly lift. I don't know if he got loose. I don't know if he overdrove the corner. Oh, his shot was right there. And that turn 3 entry is going to hurt him. And Schwallenberg's going to tuck in front of Josh Taurus back in the 6th position. Man, that got interesting there. N Amoedo looking for his first non-charter win of the season. Chris Dollerton looking to make it into the main event, which would solidify him a spot in the playoffs. Because next week at the Chili Bowl, he will officially be making his 10th start. Everybody's going to make the main event as they're side by side for 7th. But N Amoedo is going to come down and see the white flag. 1 more lap to go. No Limits Racing looking to put at least one of their cars into the main event. Dollerton in 2nd. Quentin Moore in 3rd. Harrison Ponder 4th. 5th for Dylan Poteet and Schwallenberg in 6th. The side-by-side for 7th was between Evans and Taurus. That takes them out of the running, as Schwallenberg now has himself about a car length advantage between those two, as off turn 4 for the final time, N Amoedo is going to come down and see the checkered flag. He's going to transfer into the main event, along with Dollerton, Moore, Ponder, Poteet, and Schwallenberg, and Chris Dollerton officially now will be in the playoffs, trying to be a 2-time champion in the Duracell Cup Series. Great racing all the way through the field, especially around that transfer position. We had about 3-4 drivers all duking it out for that final spot, and Dylan Schwallenberg must have had his pulse rate through the roof in those final 10 laps, can finally relax as he will indeed get the final transfer spot into the main event later on today. Now, we didn't see pit road, as I said, play a factor in the outcome of this one, but I think it may play a factor in the outcome of the 53-lapper later on today, as we gave you the 6 drivers that are transferring in from Amoedo down to Schwallenberg. J Taurus, first driver out in 7th. RJ Bishop in 8th. Rob Evans and Brad Stover, they'll get top 10s, but they will not transfer at all, as you see that the field was really spread out here, but it looks like only about 9.5 seconds separated the entire field. I don't think anybody really dropped way back or had any issues, so we could be in for a long green flag race later on today as well, which is why I think pit road could be the deciding factor in that one. Will we see someone like Nathan Orman did last week snipe a playoff spot away as we get closer to the end of this regular season? We'll have to wait and see, but 53 laps await us later on today. We'll see who's going to be able to take a checkered flag. Chris Dollerton in this one here today is going to be in the playoffs. He'll be one of the 16 contenders, and this now sets the stage for next week when we're going to be seeing non-charter and charter drivers battle in the Chili Bowl. Going to have some heat races, going to have a main event. Got a little bit of a special thing going on there as well. You'll want to tune in for that. But be sure to tune in later on today to New Hampshire's part to play into the playoffs as well. Hope you guys enjoyed this non-charter race. If you did, be sure to like, subscribe, become part of the crew today. These are your full finish results, and we'll see you guys later on today for race 19 of the season, Season 4 of the Duracell Cup Series here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, the Lennox Industrial Tools 301. I've been Seth Cole. You've been watching a production of the NNSCRA, all flying racing at its best.